You're listening to Kahit Saan here on Jeepney Cafe, only on 100.5 CFRO, Vancouver's Co-op Radio. Happy August, everybody. This is your host, Lou.
And I'm Em.
Yes.
I'm not late today. I thought I was going to be, but I'm not.
We've written this entire thing in the beginning where she's like, oh, she's going to come like halfway through the show. But
dramatically.
Exactly. There's just out of nowhere.
But we have a special guest.
Yes, that's right. You wanna talk about the guest a little bit, or like this?
Well, this is Argel.
Yes.
Hey, Argel.
Yeah.
Hi, how's it going?
We actually got connected through someone who used to take part of the show, Jenn Suratos. Our listeners would remember Jenn as the voice actor who played Catherine during our drama days. She is currently directing Fighting Chance Productions' run of Guys and Dolls. And she emailed us about this young artist who's part of the cast, and she thought we ought to get to know. So we invited him in today to come and talk about his experience.
Yeah. Just a little bit about Argel. He hails from Surrey, British Columbia, but was actually born and raised in Caloocan City, Philippines, which is, I believe, right in Manila itself. At an early age, he showed interest in music, teaching himself to play the piano and the ukulele. He grew up in a musical household where his older siblings, Melanie, Albert, and Alvin, played instruments as well, such as the guitar and piano. Argel states that since he was 8 years old, he had dreamt of being cast in classic Broadway shows such as Les Mis and Phantom of the Opera, but it wasn't until he went to Enver Creek Secondary School, that he had rediscovered his passion for acting and began his pursuits within the discipline. With a creative resume that boasts a myriad of vocal and acting awards, it's easy to see that Argel is on his way to achieving those goals that he had at 8 years of age. Currently attending Capilano University's musical theater program, he's also currently cast in Fighting Chance Productions' current run of Guys and Dolls, which can be seen at the Waterfront Theater in Granville Island until August 25th. We're very lucky to have Argel join us at the station today, so we'll just...
Welcome!
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Before we start the interview, Argel, did you want to talk about the song we played at the beginning of the show by Eraserheads? Ang Huling El Mundo?
Yeah, that was your choice for...
Yeah. Well, I actually asked my sister what is the title of that song because I just know how it sounds.
Right. Yeah.
But basically, that song, I keep on listening to that song because my brothers and sister loves Eraserheads so much that it's in our house,
All the time?
it's playing in the house all the time. And that song has some killing moments in it. Which
Okay.
that's the reason why I chose it. And there's a really my favorite part of the song is pretty much the instrumental, where there's a lot of instruments being involved.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, I love it. I love listening to it.
Yeah. I feel like that's what a lot of people who listen to Eraserheads listen to. It's just the instrumental breaks they're fantastic, right?
They're amazing.
Yeah. So do you want to talk to us about, like, I guess, well, you had stated that you'd come from Caloocan. Do you want to talk to us about what that experience was like for you? Like when you came to Canada as well, like what was that like?
It was really, I think I was happy with my childhood way back when I was in Caloocan City. It's pretty difficult a little bit because my first language was English, and then it was a struggle to communicate with other people who didn't really speak English when I was living in Caloocan. But then when I learned to speak Tagalog when I was 7, because my parents were like, it's time for you to learn Tagalog. That's when I discovered a lot of friends. I made a lot of friends and communicate more and expand my knowledge about the Tagalog language, and it's pretty fun.
Well, I mean, just because of its proximity to, like, it's near Quezon City and stuff like that, I was actually assuming that there'd be a little bit more English. Like, for me, I live near Quezon City, and so, like, my first language was Tagalog. But we mostly operated in English, like our schools and stuff like that.
That is true.
So that surprises me that. Well, I guess like back then, I wouldn't say like you're that much younger than me. You're like
I'm 21.
in your 20s. Yeah. So back then, like, kind of was when it was gonna change over to a lot more usage of English, right? But yeah, you can speak Tagalog fluently, right?
Yes, I do. Yes.
Would you like to say a little something to our listeners right now?
Hello po, ako po si Argel Montenegro. There you go.
There you go. Exactly. No, I think that's great. There's a lot of people that I meet definitely nowadays who have lived in the Philippines for quite a long time, and definitely within the proximities of like Manila and that general area, especially if you're from the north, like Luzon, right? They definitely are more comfortable using English and have to take Tagalog or rather Filipino as part of their education, right?
Yes, that's true. Well, I was in in private school when I went there, and the instruction is completely in English, like the language is English.
Yes.
But then my parents wanted me to immerse with the Tagalog speakers more. So they put me in public school, and that's when I learned how to speak in Tagalog.
Yes.
But then my parents actually chose for me to learn English since when I was born, probably because they know that they have plans of me, of us migrating to Canada.
Right,
so my mom's kind of like preparing me to be here, and I'm really, really thankful because I didn't really had a hard time when I went here. But I don't know, there's something about the language, the Tagalog language, that's just really, really fun because every single time I'm with my friends that speak Tagalog, it's a rambunctious language. Like,
it really is.
We're always having fun.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Yeah.
I wish I could relate. I speak very little Tagalog.
Yeah. So you were there until you were what age?
13.
13. Okay, so they're definitely like your formative years was spent in the Philippines then. So you were immersed in that culture as well. So what was it like for you having moved? Like, I would assume that you'd made like your friends, like your core set of friends. So moving at that age to Canada, which obviously is usually a culture shock for a lot of people. What was that like for you? Can you talk us through that?
It was pretty difficult at first because I don't really know what to expect when I got here. Although I made some friends when I was in the Philippines, but it wasn't really that deep to an extent that like I'm going to miss them or something like that. I'm actually, when I do remember that when we are on our way here, our tickets are already booked and whatsoever. I'm more excited of getting here. It's because of my dream to be in Broadways. It's not possible if I'm in the Philippines. There's not a lot of opportunities for theater actors and theater people who want theater as their profession. And so I'm more excited of doing that here. There's definitely culture shock, that's for sure. I got bullied when I was in high school, and those normal things, I guess. I don't know. But because I speak English, it wasn't really difficult for me to immerse compared to like other Filipinos who migrated here. I always hear their stories all the time. I do remember too as well when I was in high school, it's been a year since I migrated in Canada, and there's this one Filipino who cannot speak in English at all, and so I definitely help her out to get immersed and to feel normal again, and we became friends. We became really, really good friends, and so there's definitely culture shock, that's for sure.
And then once you started going to high school here and you started pursuing more regarding the career that you'd wanted, so to your listeners, when I was talking to Argel and preparing for this show, he had sent me his resume, and it was really interesting actually. I looked at the bio that you gave me, and it said you're in Kwantlen, but for a completely different thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, when I graduated high school, I went to UBC for one semester. I tried to pursue pharmaceutical sciences, but I decided that it's not for me. I discovered that it's not really for me, and so I went to Kwantlen because it's cheaper and more practical for me to go because I'm from Surrey, and Kwantlen's in Surrey. But I took business, and I finished the diploma part of my business 3 months ago.
Oh, okay.
So which is awesome. And now I'm pursuing. Thank you.
Yeah, congrats.
It's for my parents is really a milestone because I'm the first one who graduated from a university in a different country, which they're really, really proud of. And now I'm pursuing musical theater because my long-term plan is to have my own production open for people of color, especially for immigrants and Filipinos out there who also want to pursue theater as their profession. And I'm really, really excited to pursue that.
I think that's really cool. I mean, you're definitely you're getting there, right? Like we said, like you're
on your way.
Definitely. I mean, you're currently cast in production as well. And I think that's really awesome that you actually have the opportunity, as you said, as opposed to like if you were. I think it's growing a little bit now in the Philippines, definitely, and the popularization and like the worldwide kind of like acknowledgement of Lea Salonga being like a Broadway legend, and her bringing that back, but it's still somewhat kind of like you tend to get those roles more if you're already coming from a privileged position. So like whenever I see ads for like a big musical happening in the Philippines, you see big names. So it's really hard to get your foot in the door.
And somebody who I'm not sure if you know him, but there's somebody I know who is sometimes going back to the Philippines to do some of these review shows and whatnot. And from everything that I see him going through, it seems that it's all centered around like Manila and like not like, just the very center, like where the upper middle class are. Well, is there middle class? I don't know. Where the rich are. Let's be real.
Well, that's where the money is, right?
Yeah, that's where it is. But hopefully, I mean, it would be a dream one day to see it be something that can be inclusive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But could be a pipe dream for such a still developing country, though. But
you mean specifically the Philippines, not Canada,
specifically
right?
the Philippines.
Yeah.
I mean, here, I think it's the ball's somewhat rolling, and it's been rolling for a while, and it's just part of the grind. But I think that definitely I would love to hear more about more opportunities for people growing up in the Philippines, because not all of us can be as privileged as to come here.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, like, even your goal of like making opportunities for people is definitely an admirable kind of feat. So we're actually gonna take a little bit of a break right now, a music break. Do you actually want to talk about the next song that we're going to play? It's by Jenn Constantino.
Yeah.
Salamat.
Well, means thank you in Tagalog.
Yeah.
I sang this when I was in 3rd grade. We had this foundation, we call it Foundation Day, where all of the students coming from different grades are given an opportunity to sing a song. And I remember singing this, but I don't remember the word.
Oh, okay.
Well, you'll be reminded
ask
again.
my sister again. But what's the title that I sang in 3rd grade? So there it is.
Yeah, so we're going to be playing that. And then afterwards, we're going to be playing a song called Dear TV by a Canadian artist who works overseas. His name is Tablo. And yeah, just look forward to that, guys. You're listening here to Kahit Saan Paman and Jeepney Cafe, only on 100.5 CFRO, Vancouver's Co-op Radio. You're listening to Kahit Saan Paman here on Jeepney Cafe, only on 100.5 CFRO, Vancouver's Co-op Radio. So we had just played Salamat by Jenn Constantino, which was a request, or rather the choice of Argel's. And then we also played Dear TV by Tablo. Fun fact, so that song, actually, I had found that song thanks to one of the people that we had interviewed initially, Alex San Diego. So shout out to you, Alex, out there in Alberta. Thank you for the help. I was having a lot of I was having trouble finding something.
It's been a struggle finding sometimes CanCon, because we're not always exposed to it, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, CanCon's Canadian content, specifically from people of color, that we want to help put out there and stuff. But I mean, Tablo's pretty much he's been in the game for over 10 years or so in the mainstream game. So that's that was a good find. I like that song. Like honestly, the point of that song, for me anyway, is that it's the idea of how media kind of sells a person, and that kind of directed me to really think about like the purpose of things like these interviews and stuff like that. I mean, recently the main purpose of me trying to get stories out there in this show is that we want more representation for people of color and people who come from our similar backgrounds. And I mean, recently we've seen headway. I don't want to make the discussion too much about this, but like, for example, we had recently like that movie that come out, Crazy Rich Asians, which everybody is like kind of really excited about for representation.
And on Netflix there's To All the Boys I've Loved Before, that's also been recently just released, actually.
Yeah, and also like there's for any people who are fans of like YouTubers and stuff like that, Wong Food brought out Yappy, which was a multi-series.
Wong Food Productions. Yes.
Yeah, which is great. And there's a lot of headway being made, but we of course have to like acknowledge that it is a complex issue, this issue of representation. So we're gonna, at least for us, we try our best to bring the stories that we want out there. And make sure everybody has a voice, because of course, like a lot of the times the people whose voices you hear, it has to do with whoever has the platform, right? So we do what we can, and we're really again grateful and excited that Argel is also taking steps towards that. Yeah. So Argel, I was actually curious about I kind of want to delve a little bit more into like your journey from like Kwantlen, and then moving into, because when you sent me your bio and your resume and stuff like that, there was like a whole bunch of stuff that was outside of you doing in school experience, quote unquote, right? Do you want to talk about that a little bit as well? Or?
Sure. Well, that involves my parents. The reason why I decided to take something like business or science related is because of to make my parents say yes to me to take musical theater as a program.
The condition.
Yeah. Well, it's a condition, but at the same time, my mom is a little bit worried that performing arts in general is a very it's a rocky road, rocky path that sometimes you get a job, sometimes you don't, and it's very uncertain, right? My mom used to be in performing arts too as well when she was young. She was also in the media. She used to be a newscaster of ABS-CBN way back then. And so she kind of knows what happened to her friends and what happened to the people who was taking performing arts. She's just worried. But basically, I tried to finish my business diploma to make my parents finally say yes for me to take musical theater. But at the same time, it's somewhat fell into a good place because I'm using my business diploma to as well in collaboration with my musical theater diploma to pursue what my long-term plan is.
Well, that's what artists need, honestly.
Yeah.
The one thing that I find when Lou and I work on things is that she is very much more business savvy than I am, and honestly, it's taken us so much farther than anything else. Like honestly, most artists don't have that solid foundation in business, so it's such like a beneficial thing, especially advantageous for someone of color.
Yes, that's definitely correct. And also being involved with Kuala Lumpur University, where I took my business diploma, they actually helped my way to represent Canada for World Championship of Performing Arts, which is really, really amazing. And I get to represent Canada and meet a lot of countries there and won a lot of medals too as well, which is amazing. And so all of like Kwantlen or all of the people that I've mentioned in my bio are all parts of who I am and where I am right now. And I'm really, really thankful with that journey for sure.
And so, and that kind of gave you a foundation to kind of, you'd mentioned that like mostly it was kind of acting, right, when you were in secondary school. So were you always singing? I mean, you taught yourself, piano, ukulele, but it's somewhat different.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got a voice. Oh, God.
Can we get a little taste?
You know what I would love? One day I would love you two to sing together. We should go to karaoke.
That'd be so cool.
That'd be great. These two have voices, let me tell you guys.
Well, when I got here, it was, of course, I still need to adjust with how, Canadian society goes and whatsoever. But after I graduated, I kind of gained confidence to put myself out there. And so I got some gigs out there, performing at coffee shops, performing at night markets, singing some pop songs, R&B songs. And also getting paid. Sometimes it's volunteer, but sometimes if it's getting paid, it's more sweet.
Listen, that's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal.
That should be the standard. That should be the lowest bar.
Yeah,
honestly, just to at least get paid.
I mean, you're working towards it. Like I think people sometimes forget that you have the performance, but you have everything else that has brought you to that performance, and that itself is work. That's hours and hours of dedication and work.
And also as PSC, we tend to have it underpaid, but also really there's an underlying intonation that we should just feel lucky to just get to perform.
Considering the
lack of opportunities that we get. But all in all, the fact that you're getting paid for some of these gigs is just amazing. Well, let's hope that it's going to be all of them, all of your gigs.
That's for sure.
Exactly. I mean, that's what you're working towards anyway, right?
And I'm just lucky, and you know what? I'm also thankful because my religion as kind of helped me out too as well, spiritually, keeping my mental health more healthy.
Definitely.
My parents as my support, my siblings as my support. My foundation is really, really good, and I'm lucky enough to have them to support me. They also watched my show for my opening night. They were there to support me. And
that's important.
I was just really, really thankful that they're there.
Yeah. Well, it takes a village, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, I mean, it's fantastic. And I think that's what we kind of need to understand more is that, like, definitely for people, people of color who are kind of venturing out into these quote unquote like unknown territory. But like, to be fair, the arts was not necessarily like a quote unquote a viable option for a lot of people, because when you're coming into a new country, the biggest issue obviously is how to survive. So a lot of people would see like going into an artistic career is too much of a risk. But now we're seeing more and more people going into it, and that's honestly like, we kind of need to support that, because like you said, you had a strong foundation. That's one of the main big reasons why you're able to continue on and do what you're doing. So I feel like a lot of people still need, some people haven't found that, which is really difficult. So it's good that you have that, and we should keep supporting each other. Anyway, we're gonna take another break here, another music break. So the other song that we're gonna play is another one by that Argel had suggested. It's called, I want to say, Tetsulok by Bamboo. I was told by Argel that meant triangle. And then the next one after that is called Night Sky by a fantastic Filipino rapper from California named Nak. And you're listening here to Kahit Saan on Jeepney Cafe, only 100.5 CFRO, Vancouver's Co-op Radio. You're listening to Kahit Saan here on Jeepney Cafe, only on 100.5 CFRO, Vancouver's Co-op Radio. So again, the two songs that we heard were Tetsulok by Bamboo and Night Sky by, I want to say Nak, but I think he pronounces it as Nak. Nak. Where the Argel pointed out, he's just like, oh, it has meaning. It's like anak, but nah.
That's not how he wants it.
Argel said, you can call me Thai.
Yeah.
Funny.
Anyway, so we're coming up to, I guess, like, you are currently in a show right now, and you're working with Jenn, and I think one of the things that we should ask about is, how is it working with her? Because we'd only worked with her, and she was doing voice acting, so you're kind of experiencing her as a director. So can you tell us about that?
Ooh, give us the tea.
Yes. Well, she was our musical theater history teacher for my second semester at CAP, and I like how how passionate she is when it comes to her teaching all of the content of that. And so I'm like, hey, might as well I audition for something that she's going to be directing in the summer. And she's amazing. She gives us the backstory about every single word, every single things that is happening in a musical, which is for me is very, very essential, because I want to understand living in New York in 1930s, 1920s, and I think she was amazing when it comes to giving us a backstory and explaining how our characters live during that era. She's also motivates us all the time. I think it's also a Filipino thing, how like all of us, we motivate each other. And I don't know, she's just amazing. And I'm really glad and thankful that she gave me the role that I'm playing right now, because it's a really fun role to play.
I heard it's very vocal heavy.
It's yeah, it's a tenor. It's a high tenor one.
Oh wow! Talking about belting notes.
Yeah.
Earlier we were talking about how cathartic it is to just belt those notes.
But it's really, really fun to play it. I'm playing Nicely Johnson for the musical. I think I can say that because they already posted my picture with my role.
Yes. And also the show has been going for 2 weeks
now. So yeah, it's really, really fun to play Nicely Johnson, and I'm really, really thankful that Jenn trusted me this character, because this character, as what I've research about this character, has been a featured character since when it was released in 1950s. This musical was released in 1950s, and I'm really thankful that she gave me this opportunity.
And is like the way that she directs, is that how kind of like your entire process? I would imagine so. Like, but my question is, what kind of what's your process like? As an actor?
Well, I kind of dependent to what I learned from CAP.
Right.
So basically, I'm trying to, we were taught that acting is kind of like wearing a thin skin, so that you don't really immerse with the character that much, but at the same time, you also get into the character.
Right.
My process is that I usually say Nicely's lines before the show with his accent and with how he wants to talk. I also go back to the backstory that I created for Nicely Nicely Johnson, because there's really not available background story for Nicely aside from his lines and aside from the story that it was based on. And I pray as well that I'm not gonna mess up during the show. And I just have fun. Before, for the first 2 previews of the show, I tend to get really, really nervous because it's one of the first. It's Fighting Chance Productions, and everyone knows about it. And everyone, a lot of people know about Guys and Dolls because it's been released since 1950s.
Yeah, it's kind of up there. For
and a lot of people played that in high school, and but then now. I just want to. I always have fun on stage now, and it's easy for me to get nicely whenever I need him.
That's always good though, like to be nervous. I think there should be concern if you're not nervous at all before a show.
Well, I mean, like a lot of
a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of like a lot of people will always say, like, if you're nervous, it means you care.
It's like that excitement, that adrenaline that goes into right before the lights go up in the show. Ooh. It's good. Yeah,
but I mean, it's good to hear that you're able to actually like tap into that, because I'm thinking like, definitely Guys and Dolls. It's a little bit of a different kind of experience, and I would say what your life experience has been, right? Like, I mean, obviously that's the job of an actor, to be able to portray that. But there are definitely people that I know that they kind of do more in their process, like, oh, I'm going to take this from my life experience. I'm just like, you're from the 50s and you're in New York.
It's difficult. It's difficult. I mean, because
it depends if you do substitution versus like different methods, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like most people I know usually do this method that you're doing rather than substitution, because substitution can get really intense in my feelings.
So you mean like method, like deep?
It's hard. That is hard. Mostly because sometimes it's hard to get into it, but sometimes it's hard to get out of it. That's the problem. Separating like that. I feel like that's the hardest thing for an actor, to separate between your real life and you. Take that deep breath and like afterwards and be like, that's not me.
It's not me.
I'm not experiencing this traumatic event on stage actually in my life.
Every single day in your life.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I like how you mentioned that, like, that you're if you're nervous, that means you care. And as what you've mentioned and asked before, how Jenn Suratos directs us, it kind of goes back to how passionate she is when it comes to this musical to happen, and how she wants us to honor Frank Lesser and the one who created this musical, to always be on the script and like to know all of your lines all the time. And at the same time, she gave this musical a twist. We do have gamblers that are girls, that are playing as girls, but they're not really gender bending, but they're actually playing as lady gamblers. There's also a lady who is the leader of the gamblers, and so it's a twist. And there's also a pole dancer to us also. That's something you want to check it out. That's something you want to
sneak peek.
Yeah, and it's amazing. So I don't know. It just comes up to us being passionate about what we want to do and what we are doing, and it's just amazing.
Well, I mean, it's definitely like a collaborative effort.
Yes.
And I mean, like it's seeing that Jen's vision is taking like. Yeah, because it's kind of, I don't want to say it's classic, but it's kind of classic. This particular like this particular show.
It's not obscure by any means.
Yeah, like it's been around for a very long time, and so it's like you have that, and you have something that's so set, and there are a lot of people that are going to be like purists about it. But hearing that Jenn is like doing twists and turns with it, and, like that's what I find really exciting.
I find when people want to do like to alter creations with their own twists, so long as they stay authentic, I think is in terms of like stay keep the heart in it somehow. I think that even if you're going to make like a completely different version of a show, if you're doing it with all the best intention in terms of like it's for a reason, it's for something, that
but then
sense.
it kind of gets into like gray areas though, when like I'm not mentioning any specific company names, but when you have specifically cultural shows and then they cast,
that's a whole other animal. Let's do not get me into that. Oh, you touch a sore spot. That's I will not. Oh Lord. Let me just tell you, if you have a piece that has people of color and it is particular to their stories, you cast those people of color. I will end it there. You should tell us when your show is running for.
Yeah.
Let us move on.
So it's running until August 25th. It's every day 8 p.m. except Sundays. We have matinee.
What time's the matinee?
Matinee is 2 o'clock p.m.
Okay.
at Granville Island. And for our last day on August 25th, we do have a matinee at 2 o'clock p.m. and an 8 o'clock p.m. show.
And no Monday show, right?
And Mondays are dark Mondays, so we don't have shows. Yeah.
Okay, so every day 8 p.m. except for Mondays, and on the Sunday,
it's the matinee.
You have a matinee at 2 p.m. and the last day, the 25th, there's a 2 p.m. and an 8 p.m.
8 p.m.
Good.
Yes.
And when people talk about this stuff, like on radio or whatever, I'm always like, wait, say it again. I didn't hear it.
I think we just go to the Fighting Chance Productions website and they can buy the tickets there too as well.
Okay, so that's fightingchanceproductions.ca?
Website, yeah.
.com,
just search it in Google.
To the
I believe
Google.
it's .ca.
Okay, all right.
Fantastic.
We'd like to thank our listeners for joining us today.
First of all, let's probably thank Argel for coming in. Thank you.
I was getting to that.
All right.
I was getting to that. So make sure you check out Fighting Chance Productions and also see the show that's going on if you can get some tickets. And if you want to hear more about whatnot, do you want to say your personal social media or even the Fighting Chance social media to get in touch?
Yeah, we do. Fighting Chance Productions have an Instagram account and a Facebook account, so they can definitely follow that. And my Instagram is RGLMDR without vowels. RGLMDR96.
Okay. So make sure you stay tuned for the reggae show coming up next here on Co-op Radio. They always have amazing music, so make sure to check it out.
Yes, we also encourage our listeners to check out the other shows as well that's hosted by Jeepney Cafe every Saturday at 5 o'clock p.m. Next week, we have Blick Bang Mixtape, hosted by Kuya John, and we also have Pinoy Rainbow. I think I said that right this time, not like last time, as well as The Takeover.
If you like the programming on Co-op Radio, please consider supporting the station by becoming a member or making a donation. You can do so online at coopradio.org.
And you can also find past shows on the Co-op Radio website, as well as the live stream link to listen to shows from anywhere around the world with an internet connection.
We also keep an archive of our shows on our website, as well as the playlists of the music you listen to today. You can find them at Kahit Saanpaman.ca. That's KAHITSAANPAMAN.ca. You can also get in touch with us. Continue the conversation. Our email is contact@kahitsaanpaman.ca. We also have Instagram and Twitter that we sometimes keep active.
I would say sometimes, like, I'm not on all the time.
Yes, our handle's the same thing, Kahit Saan Paman.
Yep, that's right. And we'll be back again next month, I believe on September 22nd at 5 p.m. But you could keep in contact with us on our Twitter just to make sure. We'll see if that's the case. Anyway, we would like to introduce the next song that we're going to play. It is by a fantastic up-and-coming Filipino artist. He's already making a lot of headway on digital streaming. His name is No Rome, and this song is called 17. And thank you for listening here at Kahit Saan Paman here on Jeepney Cafe, only on 100.5 CFRO, Vancouver's Co-op Radio.